This is Bradley Stoke Radio.
Well, the piece of music that you heard just before the commercial break was a piece of music called Piano Awakenings, which was written and composed by Richard Shepherd, who, guess what? I happen to have in the studio. Richard, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you, Steve?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. Not too bad. Thank you very much indeed for taking time out to come and chat to us on Bradley Stoke Radio. Local guy. We could be related. We've both got the same surname, spelt the correct way as well.
We do. Actually, my brother's actually called Steve Shepherd as well.
Is he really?
He is.
What a fantastic name.
Yeah.
Both names.
Fantastic.
Good stuff. So, we're here to talk about your music, your composition. But first, I really do want to find out where your passion, your love of music first started.
Well, my family's quite a musical family. My mum plays the piano, and she'd always play lots of music around the house. And I was very, very keen on listening to her play, and she'd always talk about the music she was playing. And my dad, he loves sort of rock music, and he'd play loads of Elton John and things like that every Saturday, actually. And I really got into the Goodbye Yellow Brick Road album. Yellow Brick Road album? Yeah. And I think it's the Funeral for a Friend that really sort of inspired me, because it's so weird and exciting the way it built up, you know, and then went straight into the next song, which name I can't remember at the moment.
Right, okay. So where did you obviously started playing an instrument at an early age.
So I mentioned my brother just briefly, with the same name as you. He's like 3 years older than me, and as brothers are, they're very competitive. And my brother started learning the piano. He would have been about seven years old or something. And so I wanted to be like my brother and play the piano. And obviously my mum played the piano. So I was really, really keen from like 3, 4 upwards, just messing about on the piano. And then when I was 5 years old, my mum sort of relented and said, fine, you could start piano lessons.
Right. Did it come easy?
I think I had a natural sort of aptitude for the piano. So yeah, I noticed that I was pretty good at it, and I do lots of piano festivals and competitions and things like that. And I used to enjoy playing the piano and performing the piano. So yeah. Well,
it must have come easy to you. Did you have private lessons, or did you just
I did.
Learn by ear? Or
No, I had piano lessons with a lovely lady called Jennifer Heathorn, who's one of my mother's best friends. And she was a really, really good teacher, and she believed in me, and I would practice, and I always like to, I suppose I'm a bit of a people pleaser, and I'd always try and practice hard, and I enjoyed the lessons, and she was really encouraging.
We're talking about the piano, but you've got other strings to your bow as well, haven't you?
Yeah. Well, I play the flute, so I started playing the flute when I was about 10. I also do a bit of private flute teaching at the place that I work at. So yeah, piano, flute, and singing really are my 3 things that I like the best.
And you're a music teacher in a school as well?
Yeah, I do some.
One of the local schools, or?
In Kingswood in Bristol.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, we hope some of the pupils are going to be tuning in listening to this today.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But what's your favourite instrument?
I think I would say the piano, really, because you can just sit down at a piano and just mess around on it and come up with something nice, and you can sing along, or you can accompany other people, or you could play in a band situation, you could play in an orchestra situation, you can play on your own. You could do so many things. Obviously, it's not the most transportable of instruments. So for example, if you just wanted to play with other people, it's easy to, get your flute out. But it's a good instrument. It's a nice instrument.
Yeah. Where do you get your inspirations from for writing?
Well, I mean, if we look at, for example, Piano Awakenings, I'm a huge fan of Bob Chilcott's "Can You Hear Me," which is a great sort of choral work. And part of that little melody in in that piece, "Can You Hear Me," that sort of inspired me, that sort of stepwise melody. And I was sort of playing around with that sort of melody, and then I just develop that idea really. And essentially, Piano Awakenings, for example, I wanted to write a duet for myself and my mother, because obviously she is a big inspiration, and she was when I was learning the piano. And I wrote a little piano duet, and then I went back to the piano duet and I sort of edited it a little bit, changed it around a bit, and then decided to put that into Logic Pro and then put in some sound effects, a beat, and give it sort of like an 80s, 90s dancey vibe, you know. So that's how that piece sort of came about, really.
So you can produce all this in the comfort of your own home.
And actually, you talk about inspiration. On my YouTube channel, there's a whole channel where I will pick out, I don't know, 2 or 3 notes out of a bucket. And then from that, I'll start coming up with some ideas. Because the idea of the whole channel is to sort of show people, show students, show kids that writing music doesn't have to be like an onerous, scary thing. It can be quite a nice task that you can just play around with, you know?
Yeah.
So from 3 notes or 2 notes, you can come up with something quite substantial.
Didn't the Beatles write most of their stuff off the back of 3 or 4 chords?
Possibly. Although I think they did quite a lot for sort of musical harmony in pop music, I think.
Okay. No, you were talking about Elton John. We had an Elton John track that brought us into the show, Rocket Man. I'm a big fan of Elton John, but many people that have seen the film Elton John would probably be aware of this, but if you haven't, I was very surprised to learn that he actually started off playing classical and learning classical music, and that's where his story begins, I suppose.
Yeah, he went to one of the big, was it the Royal College of Music, I think. He used to go on a Saturday, like this Saturday morning school thing that he went to when he was younger. And he could have become a classical pianist, but he thought he would be more successful going into like the pop rock world, and that's what he did.
And didn't he do well for himself? My word. Right, we're going to have another piece of the piece of music now. I'm going to get you to introduce it. Do you know which piece it is?
Yes, I believe it's Piano Beats.
Yes, tell us about this.
Well, I wrote some music for this theatre production of Sense and Sensibility with the Janus Theatre Company. And I wrote some sort of classical music to basically accompany quite a sort of thoughtful scene in the play. But obviously with this, I've taken like a segment of the piece of music and then added some dance beats and string sounds and some choir sounds. So that's it, really.
This is Piano Beats by Richard Shepherd. Is there any particular pianist that influences you, that inspires you?
I would say I really like Einaudi. I think he's a very good sort of piano composer.
Okay.
He's very good. Yeah, I think he's the main guy around at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, the genre of music you play, how would you classify it?
I'd say it's sort of got classical leanings, obviously with my classical training, with like a pop sensibility,
Yeah.
I guess you'd say. I was a big fan of like the Beatles as well when I was a little kid, along with other people like Prince, and Michael Jackson. But very different to the sort of music that I write. But I love melodies, and I think a good melody is something that inspires me.
So, when you're writing your music, is there any specific? If you're writing music that's got lyrics in it, then it's probably easier to say, well, this inspires me, or something else inspired me. But what inspires a piece of music?
I think it's very different. So, for example, when I had a band called The Big I Am. It was very much a sort of team thing, and I'd probably draw on different sort of inspirations. Because I have very sort of different sort of musical tastes. I like the sort of classical stuff, but I also like, pop, rock, funky music as well. So I think if I was writing music in a band scenario, I'd draw on different sort of inspirations. So things like, I don't know, I used to like Oasis and Stereophonics and the Beatles and Radiohead. And so I was writing sort of more poppy, rocky, funky stuff. So that's very different. But if I'm sitting down at a piano, I probably draw on, every sort of film soundtrack I've ever listened to. I love people like Hans Zimmer. So, for example, like music from Interstellar, very sort of soundscapey and sort of building up an emotion. I sort of try and do that when I'm sort of sitting at the piano. I try and think about more emotion. I don't think so much about what harmonies or melodies. I'm just thinking purely about what emotion I'm trying to convey, I suppose.
Who do you aim your music towards?
I think when I'm writing music, I'm thinking about. I'm always thinking about trying to build up my profile. So the music I'm writing, I'm thinking, would this be good in a sort of TV scenario, as like TV backing music, or as a radio jingle, or something like that, or music that would accompany a sad scene in a film. Because I'm always thinking, hey, this guy's. He could write for our film. I'm sort of thinking with that sort of idea, really.
Yeah.
That's the dream in a way. I'd love to. I've done a little bit of writing for some like internet TV programs. I did some music for Pastures Promise TV, which was sort of like an agricultural set of short films. And I love doing that because it was great. I would get like a little brief, like write a minute's piece of music to sort of convey like the countryside, and that's like one of my pieces, English Country Gardens, is very much like that. It's very sort of pre-Bake Off music,
Yeah. Do you know, I had a question right on the tip of my tongue. I wrote something down and I've forgotten it now. So that's what it was. Yeah, I mean, I've listened to your music as when music is sent to me.
Yeah.
I generally listen to the first, because I get a lot of stuff sent down from London, and a lot of it's sort of manufactured music. You know what I mean? And I listen to the first few measures, and I think, oh no, oh no. Or I might listen to a piece of music. Oh yeah, that's quite good, and then I'll put it on the show, because I do not let my listeners listen to anything that I wouldn't listen to myself. You are so lucky, you lot are. So I do get stuff which is really good. And I listened to a few more bars. But I had to listen to yours because I just think it's so good. And I can see your music. I could almost see it in wildlife documentaries, which was sort of similar to what you've already done, maybe. Yeah.
That'd
So
be fantastic.
maybe contact the Wildlife History Unit and see what they say.
I'll do that
today.
today.
Yeah. In today's digital environment, digital world, there's an awful lot of people putting music or making music now in their homes. Does this pose a threat to musicians, do you think, that are trying to keep a job, trying to make money? Are all these other people coming along on the bandwagon?
I suppose it just means there's more competition, doesn't it? And obviously you've got AI as well as a potential threat to people's livelihood. If people are trying to make careers as composers, you've got sort of AI going on. You've got lots of people putting music out, and it can be used free of charge and things like that.
Yeah.
But I suppose the world is a competitive place, isn't it? And you just got to soldier on.
Well, we wish you all the best. If people would like to listen to more of your music, find out more about you, Richard Shepherd, where can they go? What do they have to do? Can they sign up for emails, etc.? Tell us more.
Well, you can have a look at I've got a little website that I put together called Richard Shepherd. That's SHEPHERD composer.com. I've also got a YouTube channel called Piano Music Man 7002. So it's at Piano Music Man 7002. Or you can email me on pianomusicman1999, so 1999, at gmail.com. So there's three different outs.
That's great. Thank you very much indeed. Well, we wish you all the best. And perhaps you would like to introduce this last piece of music, and we shall say cheerio now. Thank you very much indeed for taking time to come and chat to us today. And this piece of music is called...
It's called Piano Explosions.
And it's by...
Richard Shepherd.